Setting up to do a piercing. We're going to go through how you set up and how you should properly do that in a new series called Learning to Pierce. Part 1. You might, even if you're not doing that, you might find this interesting and things to look for when you get pierced. Coming up next on Body Piercing Basics, episode 104. So you might want to stick around. For those new to the channel, first off, welcome. We like you here. Be our guest. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the videos, etc. But you may not quite know who I am if this is the first one of these you've ever watched. My name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio located here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside the Skin Kitchen Tattoo. So, when I talk to you about these things, I'm talking to you a level of expertise that comes from being in the body piercing industry for well over 26 years. That's a long time. All right, so I get a lot of comments from those people starting an apprenticeship or on that road to learning how to pierce, and a lot of requests to do how-to videos or at least educational videos geared towards those that are starting out in the industry. So I figured I'm going to do a few. We'll see how they do. Like I said, if you are just a piercing fan or a collector of body piercings or even tattoos, you might find this interesting and you might know some things to look for the next time you go in to get pierced and you're not quite sure if your artist is really doing what they should be doing. If that makes sense. What I'm going to cover today is setting up to do a piercing, how that should go, what should happen, and what you should be watching them do while they're setting up before they do the piercing. So, first thing is whenever anybody that does this for a living or they're selling you jewelry or what have you, first thing they should always do when they enter that area is wash their damn hands. They should do this for 30 seconds. Should use some type of antimicrobial or germicidal soap. Personally, I like Hibiclens. It's kind of an old favorite. And it's also, as an added thing, it can also be used as a surgical scrub if the person has allergies to the normal surgical scrub that you use for scrubbing up for a piercing. Basically, it'll pretty much take care of all them germy things that are on your fingers from everything that you touched. Next thing we do is we will go through a consultation, explaining the risks involved with a piercing, what it's going to take to heal it, evaluating their anatomy, picking out jewelry, all that fun stuff that needs to be done beforehand. The idea of them is to kind of give them a last final chance to be educated on whether or not this piercing is right for them and whether or not it's worth the risks that are involved with getting it done. So that, they're not calling you 2 days from there going, nobody told me I couldn't swim. Once that's done, the area has been evaluated, the anatomy's been evaluated, the jewelry has been sized, and they filled out a waiver, which the waiver will usually cover things like medical conditions, allergic reactions, of course, release you to do the piercing, verifying they're of age or they have written consent from a legal guardian to be pierced. Also, if they're under the influence of any medication, controlled or uncontrolled substance, that may impair blood clotting or cause unusual complications. All that stuff's covered in the waiver. So we've gotten through all of that. Now, what's the next thing you do? You wash your goddamn hands. So you want to scrub 30 seconds of friction at least. Paying attention to the palms, also paying attention to the back of the hands, in the nails. Once you rinse, you want to rinse with your fingers down. And the reason for that is you do not want any of that wastewater to run up your sleeve or up your arm. It should be done from the wrist downward. They should be thoroughly done, and you should have at least 30 seconds of friction. Next thing is you're going to disinfect the tray. Usually, most people in this day and age use Mayo stands. The tray can be placed in other places. It's usually made of a non-porous material, something like stainless surgical steel with a high polish, and edges around the outside to ensure that if anything rolls off, that it's not going to end up on the floor. Then you go ahead and, me personally, I like using hard surface cleaner. I think Calvocide is what we're using right now. You want to spray or mist the areas. Your piercer or someone else or what have you, the studio you work at, may use disinfectant wipes. You want to start in the center of the tray and work outward, either in a circular motion or in a square motion. You don't want to drag things that are on the edges back into the center, because that's where a majority of the materials that you're going to be using that are sterile are going to be. So you don't want to drag contaminants into that. I also tend to, when I'm at the very end, wipe down the outside edges, because sometimes I'll move that tray around and I want to make sure that if I've contaminated in the past that it's taken care of. Next up, you would set down a moisture-resistant cloth or drop cloth or drape, or in this case, dental bibs. Dental bibs are pretty universal. They're inexpensive, easy to use, and you want to put that down with the moisture-resistant or plastic-ish side up. And the reason being is we don't want to absorb a bunch of stuff into this paper and then transfer it possibly somewhere else, like blood and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Next, you want to lay out all of your items that you're going to be using for the piercing. Things like forceps. This particular setup I did that you're going to be watching, I'm setting up for probably maybe an upper ear cartilage piercing, or possibly a nostril piercing, I guess you could do with this setup, or even any type of ear work with a threadless titanium 18 gauge Labret stud with a emerald, or not emerald, it's a opal front. Anyway, so basically I'm going to need hemostats to hold the jewelry and get it in there properly. I'm going to need a taper pin that's going to go ahead and guide the jewelry in after the piercing is done. Of course, I'm going to need a piercing needle. And this varies, and this is a taste thing, if you use a cork or a needle receiving tube, that would be the next thing that you need. I like to make up, or have my apprentice bag up, what I call like kits. And what they are is they have a needle in there that, a needle, cork, everything I would need on a normal piercing. So it's all in one package and everything's sterile. You're basically re-sterilizing the piercing needles again. Then you're going to need things like possibly cotton tip applicators. You're going to need a marker, surgical marker, or if you're doing the method where you use ink in a toothpick, a sterile toothpick, ink cap, and pouring the ink into that. Also, whatever your surgical scrub is or whatever you're using needs to be there. And I think that's about it. If there's something I missed, it's probably on that tray. Once you're at this point, of course, then you move on to opening them. You want to slowly open them up, peeling the packages open. Also, it's a good idea to check the indicators on each one of those packages as you open them. Pretty much any sterilization pouch is going to have an indicator in black, or you can actually manually put one in there. A lot of studios, they double up with putting an indicator in there on top of using the pouch as a verification that it actually was sterilized. So then you want to slowly peel them open. I personally like using the paper side. A lot of people use the plastic side. The reason why I don't like the plastic side is it tends to want to curl up at the ends, and that drives me nuts. Because there's nothing worse than having a ball on there and then it curls up and it flies over to the edge of the tray and you can't find it. Then you want to set out your items on there, like lubricant, the piercing needle, taper pin. Everything should be on the sterile side, what was inside the package, including pretty much anything you're going to use. So even though you have this moisture-resistant layer, you have another layer on top of that to help reduce the possibility of contamination. Now, once you've set up, you should not be going back to cabinets and et cetera. The key is to try to get as much stuff out so that you don't have to touch anything else and possibly drag another contaminant in there, because you already have airborne stuff that you need to deal with. At this point, usually you're going to change. Did I say don gloves? No, I didn't. Before you start unpacking them, of course, you want to don your first pair of gloves. Usually a procedure of any type should use minimum 2, usually 3. 1 to set up, 1 to actually do the piercing, and 1 to clean up with. Each piercing should be done that way. Anytime that you have to go to any type of cabinet, let's say you have an issue and you have to pull out an extra tool, those gloves should be removed immediately and fresh ones put on. You should never touch anything after that piercing procedure has been done inside your studio, other than things that are like the biohazard where you're putting your stuff. Next time, I'll get into actually tearing down from a piercing and clean up and et cetera, and we'll go into that a little bit more. At the point, before you do the piercing, some people like to scrub up again, and that there's no reason not to if you feel more comfortable doing it. The other possibility with setup is that you're using one of the cartridge-style speed autoclaves where you actually autoclave your equipment on a tray and then pull it out and use it. The main difference with that is you're just not unwrapping things. You kind of just set that tray in there. Everything's ready for you right there. I don't like it. I like to have all my stuff pre-sterilized, but I've been doing it that way since the beginning of time, so maybe it's just because I haven't tried the other method. Maybe. I don't know. So, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked it, because we like it when you like it. If you would like to see more of these videos, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you're notified every single time we do one. If you have a question or a comment or you'd like to add something, please leave a comment. I usually answer them. I'm a couple weeks behind right now, but I'm slowly beginning to catch up. So, don't be surprised if I answer. Just be patient. I'll do it eventually. Also, another thing is if you like merch, you like t-shirts, you like fanny packs, you like swag, you like leggings, what have you, check out our merch store. Link is in the description. There's also one of those merch bars down below that you can check out. Till next time, here's hoping all your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope to see you for your body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this or found it helpful, please let me know. Also, some subjects that you would like me to cover in the future. Have a good day, everybody. See you in the next video.